Lesson 6-7. Let's get right to it. Reminders first. Make sure you have out your SAB, a pencil, and you can have your homework journal nearby, just so you know what pages to do later if you choose to go that route. Today is actually multiplying fractions, which seems like this really insanely difficult thing, but it's actually probably the easiest thing to do in fractions. So that's really good news for us because we don't want difficult stuff to do. So this is 6-7, and I don't know what page I'm on. You'll figure it out. So the very first directions, or the lesson up here at the top, says a whole number multiplied by a unit fraction. So that's what we're going to do today. Something you're going to need to remember is what a unit fraction means. That is simply a fraction that has 1 as its numerator and whatever denominator you're wanting to, or whatever your denominator is, however many shares you've cut it into, okay? So unit fractions are what we're going to be dealing in today. This says the lunchroom at Mandy's school serves pizza every Friday, and each slice is 1/4 of a pizza, and Mandy eats 1 slice every week. So then it says to find the fraction of a pizza she eats in 3 weeks, you can add or multiply. Addition seems easy enough. This would be week 1, this would be week 2, and this would be week 3, meaning that over 3 weeks she has eaten 3/4 of a pizza, right? Well, that actually is the same thing as multiplication. She's got 3 groups of 1/4. Reminder for you, it's been a while since we used this symbol. That symbol is the same as multiplication, and it's just kind of a different way to write it. So when we see 3 times 1/4, we need to know actually what to multiply here. I want to remind you that in this problem, your shares are not changing. The size of your shares are always going to be fourths. So when we think of something as 3 times 1/4, I want you to think about what's actually going on here. You're telling me how many groups of your share you have. So I have 3 groups of this 1/4, which means my denominator is going to stay the same, but I have now 3 of those 1/4 pieces. So really what that means for you is you just do 3 times 1 equals 4. Sorry, I just said that wrong. It means 3 times 1 equals 3. Not 4. 3 plus 1 would equal 4. So let's look at a problem here. I forgot to screenshot the directions, but basically the directions just told you to add and multiply. And I'll do that for number 1. Number 2, we can just do the multiplication problem for that one. But first, we need to try to add these two together. So I have 1 full group of fractions here and then part of a second one, but I want to look first to just see what their shares are. They have equal sizes of shares. So this one has, it looks like it has 4 equal parts, and same with the other one. It's just that it's not totally full. So that means that I'm going to have 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4 plus 1/4. That takes care of this circle right here. But then I also have this 1/4 from over here, which is altogether telling me that I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 fourths in total. Well, the much easier way to do this is to ask yourself, okay, what's the size of my share? The size of my share is 1/4, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them. So that's going to be 5 times 1/4. So that makes it really easy. Your share size is staying the same. That will be fourths. And then you're doing your 5 times 1, which is 5. So over here, like I said, I'm not going to make you do the addition problem because that would literally be 1/4 added together this many times. So we just need to figure out how many groups of that 1/4 we have. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is going to be 11 times that 1/4 size, which then means I've got 11 times 1, which is just 11, and my share size stayed the same, which is fourths. So let's jump down to the next couple of problems. This wants you to draw a model for this problem, and I would actually really like you to. I know there's not a lot of room, so just try to draw a small rectangle underneath. It doesn't have to be fancy, okay? So this is telling me 2 times 1/3. So here's how I can actually draw this. Thirds are my share size, so I'm going to cut this into thirds first. And then it tells me that I have 2 of those 1/3, so I'm going to just scribble or shade out those 2/3. Okay? Now on this next one, I'm going to need to cut my share size into fifths, but you'll notice that I have 6 of them. So I have to draw 2 rectangles, not just 1. So I'm going to draw my 1 rectangle, and then the second. And yes, I know it's fifths, so try to draw it if you can. I know they're a pain. So I've got 2, 3, 4, all my fifths right there. So now if I highlight or color in those, I have my 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then my 6 fifths. So that means altogether my answer can either be 6 fifths, or if I want to get fancy with it and make it a mixed number, I have 1 whole and 1 fifth. Pause the video and see if you can figure out number 5 on your own. You can either write it as an improper fraction or a mixed number. So, hopefully you paused. If not, no big deal. When you multiply across, your share size is staying the same. So 8ths is your share size, and then 10 times 1 is 10. And if you got a little fancy and you went ahead and figured out the mixed number, 8 goes into 10 one time, and then that leaves you with 2 8ths. All right, so for 6 through 8, it wants you to draw a model for each fraction and then write each fraction as the product of a whole number and a unit fraction. Well, they've done part of the work for you in number 6. Your unit fraction is 1 over whatever your size of your share is. So how many groups of 1/5 did I have? If I look at my original number, I had 3. So that's simply just going, that's simply just going to be 3 times 1/5. Okay? So for number 7 and 8, I would like you to pause and try those out. And if not, you can just go ahead and move on with us. So a reminder for you, your numerator is telling you how many you have, which is 8. And then your thirds, if you can turn that into a unit fraction, you would see that you have 8 groups of 1/3. And then that same thing is true for number 8. You have 12 groups of 1/7. So that's 12 times 1/7. All right, let's go ahead and look at the next page as well. 6-7 is still what we're working on, and this one's going to help you now not just with unit fractions, but rather a fraction that doesn't have 1 as its numerator. So we're going to use this sub sandwich as our example. It says the lunchroom at Joe's school serves sub sandwiches every Thursday. Each slice is 1/6 of a sub, but Joe eats 2 pieces, or 2/6 of a sandwich every week. So they're showing you that in this sub sandwich, Joe is not eating just 1 slice of the sandwich, he's actually eating 2 slices of it. So they're showing you that you could add that together, 1/6 plus 1/6 equals 2/6, or you could do 2 times that 1/6 share, but no matter what, it's still equaling 2/6. Okay? So this wants you to solve each problem, and it says first by adding and then by multiplying to write your answers as a fraction. So this is what's happening to Joe in a matter of 3 weeks. And this visual's pretty much already done the work for you. You can tell that by the end of 3 weeks, Joe would have eaten 1 entire size of a sandwich. But this is the way that this one works with addition. This is telling me that 2/6 plus 2/6 plus 2/6 is going to equal, remember your share size stays the same of 6ths, and then 2 plus 2 plus 2 is also 6. So 6 over 6 is the same as 1. Now, the multiplication one is a little bit trickier. I have 3 weeks, so 3 is what I'm going to be multiplying by. And I need to multiply it by the fraction of sandwich that Joe eats, and Joe eats 2/6. So that's why that's going to be 3 times 2/6. So, reminder for you, your share size is going to stay the same. You are eating 1/6 of a size of sandwich, and you had 3 full weeks, and 2/6 each week. So all you have to do is multiply that 3 times 2, which is going to give you 6, and 6 over 6 is still equal to 1. All right, so now in number 10, it wants you to figure it out for 5 weeks. You don't need to write down the addition one. On this one, I want you just to do the multiplication. So how many weeks is Joe eating? Joe is eating for 5 weeks. What's the size of the share that he eats every week? He's eating 2/6 of a sandwich. And then that wants us to solve. Well, you can look at your model that they showed you here. This already shows me that I have 1 whole and that I have 4/6. So let's see how they got that answer. Well, first, your share size stays the same of 6ths. And then what's 5 times 2? That's going to equal 10. Well, that's an improper fraction, so let's try to mix it up with making it into a mixed number. So how many times does 6 go into 10? It goes in 1 time. I'm going to subtract that 6 from 10, which would leave me with 4/6. So that means by the end of 5 weeks, Joe will have eaten 1 4/6 of a sandwich. Pages 54 and 55 are really just more practice. I'm going to do a couple of problems with you, but then this could be an activity that you could do to show your understanding on your own. But I'm going to go ahead and solve, how about this last column? I'm going to solve 13, 16, and also 19. Okay, so for number 13, it does want you to draw a model and then solve. I'll be kind. You don't have to draw a model. It's just fine. So on here, when you've got 5 times 2/3, something you need to keep in mind. Thirds is the size of your share, so 3 becomes your denominator. And your 5 times 2 is really all that's left because you have 5 full groups of these 2/3. So you got to figure out what 5 times 2 is, and that would be 10. So you could leave this as an improper fraction. I'd love for you to practice, not doing that. So 10/3, if you were to write that as a mixed number, you ask yourself, how many times does 3 go into 10? 3, 6, 9 would be 3 times. I'm going to now subtract that 9 from the 10, which leaves me with 1/3. For number 16, it says 10 times 5/6. Again, 1/6 is the size of your share. You have 10 full groups of 5 of them. So 10 times 5 would be 50. I am not going to leave that as an improper fraction. I'm going to try to make that into a mixed number. So 6 goes into 50. Well, 6, 12, 18, 24, 30, 36, 42, and 48. So that was 8 times. I'm going to subtract 48 from here. And 50 minus 48 is 2. So that would leave me with 8 and 2/6. Might be kind of cool if you tried to pause real quick and do number 19 on your own, but it's okay to also just move forward with me. So number 19 is what I'm going to work on next. 7 times 8/9. So 9ths, again, is my share, so I'll leave my 9 down there as my denominator. And then I have 7 full groups of 8s. Not 8s, but 8/9. So 7 times 8 is 56. So that's going to leave a 56 up there. And then this is just basic division. How many times does 9 go into 56? It goes in there 6 full times. And that would be 54, because 9 times 6 is 54. So then if I do 56 minus 54, I am left with 2 of those 9th shares. All right. Last one is a real-world problem. I'm going to solve number 20 with you, and then I'll give you your assignment for the day. So number 20 says the 5 members of the Sanchez family each drank 3/4 of a cup of orange juice for breakfast. How much juice did the family drink for breakfast altogether? I want you to draw a model. You can either draw a model or write your multiplication sentence. I'm just going to do a multiplication sentence on this one. We've got 5 members of the family, and each one is drinking the exact same amount. How convenient for our math problem. So we've got the 5 members of the Sanchez family times the 3/4 cup of juice that they are drinking. And then this is the same as we've been doing. 1/4 is the size of your share, so it stays the same. And you've got 5 full groups of those 3/4. So that's going to be 5 times 3, which would be 15. In order to change this to a mixed number, I'm going to ask myself, 4 goes into 15 3 times, because 4 times 3 is 12. And then if I took that away from that 15, I'm left with 3/4. So that means that the family drinks 3 3/4 cup of juice all together for breakfast. All right, guys. Your assignment today, you could go ahead and finish pages 217 and 218. That would be really good practice for you. Your other option is just to go do your homework and remembering journal for section 6-7. Or you could always go to the weekly plan as well and figure out what IXL lessons match up with this lesson today. Log into our Zoom calls anytime from 1 to 2 if you need any help on Monday through Thursday, and I'd be happy to help you out.